Caitlin Burton. This is my strength and conditioning video for Lionel University. This is Blake. He's almost a year out now from an ACL and meniscus tear from snowboarding last season into the late season. He's been released to train for how long now? Injury?
2 months ago.
We're gonna take Blake through a leg day. We're gonna start with a few warm-up stretches and mobility work, and then we're just gonna move straight into our strength program today. We're gonna lock ourselves in the tabletop position with a neutral spine all the way down from our neck. We're gonna tuck our chin in, tucking our pelvis under and creating a rainbow shape with the back. And then we're gonna drop it up, looking straight up in the air, bringing the chin up and tilting the pelvis up. With this, we're trying to warm up the spine, get the spine ready to take on some heavier loads. Good. With this, we're warming up the spine, getting the spine ready to take on some heavier loads today. He's going to perform 3 rounds of this to 10, so 30 total. And reach, and then alternate. Quad stretch and reach, and alternate. Quad stretch and reach, and alternate. This warm-up is great for someone like him who might need to incorporate a little bit more single leg balance, especially on one side over the other. I perform some leg swings. This is opening out our hips into every direction, getting our hips ready to take on heavier loads. So the first way we're going to start facing a wall. You could also just hold your barbell in front of you if you have a squat rack. And we're just going to swing the legs from front side, opening all the way out. We're going to perform 10 in each direction, on both legs, go front and back, warming up all angles of the hips and the lumbo-pelvic complex. Go ahead, Blake. He's going to perform 10 repetitions in each direction on each leg. Really bracing the core on this, drawing the belly button into the spine, so all the movement is coming from the hips. This is one of my favorite warm-ups as it opens up every single part of the hip complex. A lot of people are going to need to hold on to something for balance, which is a-okay. He's probably going to need to hold on to something when he is standing on his left leg because that is his weaker leg. But everybody's going to be different. So hip rotations, we're again opening up the hip complex in all ranges of motion, especially someone like him who's been locked into a specific position for months on end. So we're going to bring the knee up, open it out to the side, and bring it all the way back around with the knee up behind us, and then come back down. And start over. We're going to repeat 10 repetitions for 3 sets, opening up the hip complex as much as we can. All right, go ahead and give that. Perfect. It's really important to get that full and final rotation on the back side to open up all avenues of our hip socket. We're going to stand with the feet about hip width distance apart, toes facing forward. We're going to grab the kettlebell down in front of us, dropping the hips low and not the back or the torso. We're going to drop the hips low, grab the kettlebell, pull our shoulder blades up, back, and down, lifting the chin up. Up again, we're going to drop the hips completely down, hoping to avoid our torso leaning forward or our shoulders falling forward. We're just going to go to where the body allows, which may not be all the way to the floor. It may be all the way to the floor, and we're going to come back up. A big thing that I want you to focus on is as you're coming down and as you're coming back up, I don't want the knees caving in at all. I don't want the knees touching the kettlebell in any way. I want you to focus on pushing the knees out and open the whole time to avoid that knee valgus of them falling in. On week 2 of our strength and conditioning program, Our weights and our reps are still, our weights are still kind of light and our reps are still a little bit high. So performing 3 sets of this, we're gonna go to about 10 or 12. We're kind of seeing where the athlete is still at in his strength portion. He does still work a full-time job, 7 days a week, so we are trying to avoid too much soreness that's gonna create discomfort in his life. Good, so as he's coming down, I want you to imagine a string in your butt, just pulling your butt straight to the ground. Perfect. Perfect, I think we're just gonna go to 10. Good, I want you to open those knees up, out, 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 out. Wide and pick your chin up. Nice. You can really see the emphasis on his left knee trying to cave in on this one versus his right. Nice. I want you to drive in through your heels. Start with our feet about hip width distance apart, toes facing forward. We want to keep a constant bend in the knees the entire time. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but we don't want them locked out by any means. So we're gonna have that slight bend in the knee. We're gonna bring our shoulder blades up, back, and down, keeping our posture right, keeping our chin at a normal level so that when we start to hinge forward, our spine is still parallel with the ground. All right, so we're gonna drop forward, gliding the dumbbells along our thighs, and we're gonna come right below our knees, maintaining that bend in the knee the entire time, and that good posture of the shoulders. Coming straight back up. And again, we're going to glide the dumbbells along the legs so the fingers are touching the legs the entire time. And then we're going to come straight back up, squeezing the butt cheeks together at the top. This one we're going to be doing a little bit different because we are trying to put a lot of emphasis on that left leg. So we're performing 3 sets of this. Double legged, we're doing 5 repetitions, and then he's going to switch to just his left leg. We're gonna single leg it, whether you wanna come all the way up and RDL with the leg up, or if you need the toe touching down for a little bit of stability. For someone like him who's just coming out of surgery, he's probably gonna need the toe for some stability, although it can be performed by bringing the leg up. So same thing, we're gonna, instead of the feet being hip width distance apart, we're gonna bring the left leg directly under the shoulder, using the right leg for some kind of stability by coming straight up on the toe, but not using it for anything else. Keeping the other hand next to you for balance. Again, we're going to glide the dumbbell along the leg, keeping a bend in that knee the entire time. Good posture, shoulder blades pulled back so that we're still parallel with the floor. And again, coming straight. Good, so I really want you to send your hips back like your hands are full. You're trying to shut a door behind you. Yeah, good. Again, I want you to send your hips back, not your torso. Your hips back. Good, and really plant your feet. Use the grounding of your feet through here. Good, I want you to hinge a little bit more. Hinge, 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 hinge. Good. Good, so open up your legs a little bit wider. Good, start with tall posture instead of leaning forward. Good, like normal, bend the knees, start from here. Good. Good, his form is almost better with just the single leg, because the 2 legs are still having a hard time kind of keeping up with each other when it comes to hinging the hips back, lifting up certain kind of weights. An exercise called a split squat, which focuses on the single leg rather than the double leg, using both legs for support and stability. So lunge position, you can drop the top of your shoelaces down on here, or you can stay up on your toe, whatever is easier for you. And we're gonna slide forward, For this one, we do not want the knee to touch the knee to pass over the toe. Sometimes that'll be okay, but for this circumstance, for the way that we want him strength training and what muscles we're focusing on, we're not gonna let the knee pass the toe. So, and then adding a dumbbell on the inside of the single leg that we're working on. We are just going to drop. We're just going to bend into the front knee, creating a squat, like a front lunge position, and dropping the dumbbell on the inside of the knee and coming out. We're only going to drop as low as our body is going to allow us to, as we're getting a huge stretch through this back leg right here. So again, on this one, we're going to keep it pretty even on both sides. He's going to do 8 on each leg, maintaining the same weight. And we're gonna stick with that for a little while until we start noticing some muscle mass. We may start increasing weight depending on where he's at, but the biggest thing is that we kind of want to even out his body. So can you do the other side so the camera can see you? Put the weight down. Back into it. Good. So when he's working on the dominant right leg, his left leg that he had surgery on is getting a stretch all through the front side of his quad. So getting a stretch through the hip flexor, the quad, and maybe even a little bit of the calf as he's coming down into that position, but mostly the quad, which for us is very important for him because where he tore his ACL and meniscus comes down from the quad and wraps around this way. So it's important that we're still stretching that quad and keeping the mobility alive. Good, let's switch so we can see your left leg. So now we can see with his left leg, it's a little bit more unstable. The front knee is a little shakier. And he does have a tendency to drop the weak knee extension from behind, which is a great rehabilitating exercise for people with knee injuries, depending on what area of their healing that they're in. And we're gonna pair that with a step down, focusing on opening the knees out a little bit so that he's avoiding that knees valgus as he's falling in. So we're gonna start with the TKE. The best way to do it is with a resistance band. We're gonna start with a really light yellow one. He is up to a blue resistance band, which is, so we're gonna band this in behind the knee with a bend in the knee and good posture. All we're gonna be doing is bending the knee and straightening it out. Focusing on these muscles back here behind the knee and on the sides of the knee. This will be easy. It'll be a quick 3 sets of 10 repetitions. 10, the good, we're just gonna stick to around 5 to 8. Nothing crazy because we're just trying to get some general strength back into that knee. Good, so I want you to put less bend into the left knee. I want you to just focus on bending the right knee. So he's trying to focus on as much range of motion in the knee as he can get while still maintaining that strengthening exercise. Perfect. Focusing on that flexion within the ankle and the tibialis anterior. So starting on the side of our box, giving ourselves enough room to step down. We're going to single leg balance on the top. Finding balance, hands on your hip, hands out, whatever is most comfortable. The best way to keep your balance is to spread your toes out wide and grab the ground under you like a bird. We're also going to draw the belly button in, bracing the core. Bending in the front knee, we're just going to heel tap onto the ground and come right back up. We're not sitting on the ground with our heel. We're just completing repetitions, tapping the ground for a second and coming right back. A little bit different than the TKE, we're gonna do 3 sets of 10 on both sides. He's not performing weight on this one, toe up, toe up, toe up. He's not performing weight on this one as we're mostly focusing on trying to avoid the knee falling inward. So again, when he's bouncing on his right leg, it'll be a lot easier than it is with his left. But we're trying to bring back that equilibrium between the 2 legs before we get back into the next snow season. We want to have more evenly distributed strength before we come back into our snow season. Pull the muscles back down. Now we're gonna perform some static stretches. So we're gonna start with, we're gonna lay on our back and we're gonna stretch out the glute and the hamstrings, which were our main focus of today's. Pull the knee into the chest until you're starting to feel that stretch deep in the glute. You can also start to open the knee out up to the armpit if you're having a hard time bringing it in. We're gonna hold there for 30 seconds. We're gonna perform this 2 times on each side. Into the chest, we're gonna feel a stretch into the glute area right through here. Is that where you're feeling it? Perfect. The next stretch that we're gonna perform is a wide leg forward fold. So we're gonna have our athlete sit up, face the camera. We're gonna open our legs out wide, sitting on the floor, keeping the knees straight, posture good. Bring the shoulders up, back down, sit up straight, neutral spine. We're just gonna start walking the hands out in front of us until you feel that stretch on the inner part of your thighs. And again, we're just gonna hold there for 30 seconds. And then we're gonna, same thing as before, 2 repetitions, 30 seconds each. I need a strap. 3-way hamstring stretch today. For all of it, we're gonna need to cup the resistance band around our foot like so. We'll lay on our back and we're just gonna bring the leg straight up using the band to pull the leg up. You can have a bend in the knee here. I just don't want too much because we're focusing on getting a stretch right here through the backside of the thigh. So we're pulling the leg in until you're getting that stretch. 30 seconds here. And then we're gonna stretch the IT band, so the outer part of the thigh. Same thing with the band wrapped around our foot. We're gonna bring our foot up and pull the band in. So our legs out to the side until we're starting to feel a stretch through this side, outer side of our leg through here. Same thing, we're gonna hold there for 30 seconds. Last one. Using the band again, we're gonna pull our leg out. We're gonna pull our leg out to the side until we're getting a stretch on the inner thigh here. Same thing, 30 seconds in each direction. So laying on his back, he's focusing on a stretch in his hamstring straight through the backside of his thigh right here. Okay, now I want you to drop it in for the outer thigh. Pulling the leg inwards, he's gonna get a stretch throughout the IT band here, which is connected into the lumbopelvic complex up here, runs through the side of the leg till like right about before the knee, so it is normal to get a stretch that you might be feeling in the knee. All right, let's show the other leg. And same thing, similar to the wide leg fold, we're opening up so that we can focus on the inner part of the hamstrings right in here. This is a little bit more targeted than the wide fold because the wide fold has us folding in and down over our pelvic complex. This is just us opening and spreading the legs, getting a straight stretch in that hamstring. We're gonna stagger our legs like we're gonna take a step. How big the step is depends on your height. So the taller you are, might need a bigger step. The smaller you are, might need less of a step. We're going to tilt our pelvis down and in, drawing the belly button into the spine, and then we're going to bend into the front knee so that we get a stretch through the top of the quad of the back. Many people will turn their back foot, which helps them target the hip flexor a little bit more. Many athletes can do that and feel it here. Everybody's body is a little bit different. So most of my younger athletes will need to come down on their knee, which he is someone that would be a avoidant of doing this version of the stretch for the first few months, but now that he's cleared from PT and we have matting underneath the knees, I'm not too worried about him. But we're gonna come into a low lunge position. Bring one foot out in front of us. Whether the knee passes the toe or not is really up to you. I could care less because we're not strength training. There's no weight applied here. And we're gonna and for this one, you could just sit here, or you can bend into the front knee a little bit more, feeling that stretch even more. But either way, we're targeting the top of the quad of the back leg. So same thing with that the pelvic tilt. We could do that here if you need to, but we're mostly just focusing on bringing the belly button into the spine to brace the core, and then bend through that front knee until we start to feel a stretch right about here. Same thing, we're gonna perform. Good, so are you feeling it more in your front ankle or in your hip flexor? Good, I want you to hold it for 30 seconds, not come into it and bounce out. Perfect.